one of the things that I've found so awesome about this little truck. No, it's not a truck, it's a pickup. Okay, what I'm talking about is the Maverick. And I really think that comparing it to something like a Ford Ranger would be a great idea. I love this little pickup. So the idea was, okay, Andre, you're gonna get your hands on the new Ranger and we're gonna go side by side. And that's what you are, that's not what you're gonna see. Are you kidding me? Dude, what is wrong with you?
Nothing?
You said Ford Ranger, I assumed you meant the new one. We all assumed that, not some crappy old Mazda. I mean...
Just wait a second, okay? Before you go any further. Bam! It's a Ford Ranger.
Crying out loud.
If I may, the all-new 2022 Maverick, some critics are calling it very significant and potentially an important moment in Ford's history, similar to the 1964 and a half Mustang.
I would even go further. I would say it's almost a Model T in terms of its... this is a really, really big vehicle for them.
But hold on a second. This was also hugely significant in Ford's history because, yes, this is a Mazda B4000, but it's basically a rebadged Ford Ranger. And there were years where Ford and Mazda both sold up to about 400,000 or more of these things every year.
For the audience, I think what we should do is talk about the differences between the old Ranger, which is essentially what this truck is, and this new Maverick, which is essentially what this pickup is, right?
Yes, and also let's do 0 to 60 just for grins.
Okay.
You guys may recognize this little Mazda truck from our For a Few Bucks Less series where we bought 3 vehicles for under $2,500. And yes, I still own this truck and it did win that series.
Dude, not even.
Okay, but my family and I have kept this truck and we updated it a little bit. Nathan, you should see the headliner underneath the hood and some other touches. Behold, this is basically suede, maybe faux suede.
There is no way that you managed to make it look this good.
Actually, my dad did.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But check this out. Dickies seat covers, also beige to brown.
Yeah, fitted too, I can see.
Also, a brand new ignition.
I'm going to give you credit. Because this truck is way better than the piece of junk that you initially bought. And from what I understand, you fixed the mechanical issues too.
Yeah, I'll show you that underneath the hood in a second.
Andre, before we talk about that, you should really look at this because this is, I think, one of the best parts of this vehicle in terms of smart. A lot of repurposed materials, very, very simple interior layout because they wanted to make this inexpensive. So they had to cut a few corners, right? Not to add the suede, faux suede up top or anything like that, right? But I mean, this denim setup is really cool. Now, this is the higher model in terms of it's got a couple things in it, right? Including heated seats. These are heated, even the steering wheel's heated. This whole section here is fantastic. Really, the only thing I don't like about this interior is this, because I much prefer having a gear lever. But other than that, it's so logical. And look at that door panel. Come on, dude, that is really cool.
I gotta agree with you, dude. This is kind of new way of thinking.
Right.
You could put a larger bottle. Do you have your coffee mug?
As a matter of fact, I do.
There, you can put your Gigantor cup in here, and it's actually also styled. These little screws say Ford on it. How cool is that?
Okay, that's a little much, but a lot of material that's used in here is recycled. Yeah, it's hard plastic and whatnot, but the point here is that this is a really inexpensive vehicle, and they managed to use some cool design in order to get around what would be a few issues. I just think that this is the way forward for Ford, especially for people who are on a budget.
But here's a question. Here's my question. This is a crew cab versus an extended cab.
Right.
That I have. How much room is in the back?
Oh, wait till you see me in the back seat. All right, so I'm going to start with the seat up because there is some storage room down here, right?
Okay.
And then down. No cheating. This seat is all the way back for me, right?
Okay.
And I am able to sit behind myself. It's tight, but I can do it. And I have good headroom, and you know I have a tall torso and short legs. So altogether, it's pretty cool. Here's my thing with this. You can buy like a Honda CR-V hybrid, right? The base model or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Or you can get one of these, which is a pickup that can still hold 5 people.
And stuff.
That's my point.
You also have charge points, 400 watt outlet.
Yeah, and this, which I don't know what that is.
Dude, this is the coolest part of them all.
What is it?
This is basically a system where you can attach accessories like a little trash can, a little cup holder.
Oh, so like you can just like drop that in and it'll hold.
Yeah, you could 3D print accessories. That's the wave of the future.
See?
But Nathan, what I really want to see is you in the back of my truck.
I've heard that so many times.
The old way of doing things for Ford was either a regular cab, which was just a 2-door, or this extended cab. Really, in the United States, they never sold in the previous time a Ford Ranger with 4 doors. But this does have 4 seats. So Nathan, if you may, can you please demonstrate?
I was wondering why you were so insistent when you were talking to Roman about having me do the video, and it's because you wanted the fat guy
Well,
to get
open the
into
seat first. Aha!
This is why you did it.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So see the comfort you're in right now?
Yeah, I'm in the lap of luxury. Thank you. Oh,
That's the wrong belt.
Wrong belt.
It
Hold on. It's
doesn't
down
matter.
here. It's down here.
It doesn't matter, but this is, well, this is not ideal, actually.
No, it's really not. And they've come a long way. And by the way, this type of safety, not the best. Okay, let me try.
Can you help me?
Let me try this.
Help me. Oh!
You're welcome.
Some of you were asking us what happened to some of our older trucks. Well, here underneath the hood of the Mazda B4000, my dad and I actually he replaced the fan clutch, the fan that was cracking, and also this oil temperature sensor that was leaking. But this is really a 4-liter V6 goodness with about 160 horsepower when it was new in 1994. And the 5-speed manual transmission.
Don't I put over like 190 horsepower, like 191?
Well, some say.
Okay, and on top of that, in terms of efficiency, this thing gets like what, 40 miles per gallon combined?
It might.
Okay, and then just to add, I'm just curious because this is important. This whole package comes with the base model truck. Back in your day, that truck came with a 4-cylinder engine as the base, and that was an anemic 4-cylinder engine at that.
Yes, and this is still anemic. Well, not anemic, but at the end of this video, I want to do a 0 to 60 if this old truck can do it.
Yeah, you might get to 60. It's a fairly intelligent setup for this type of powertrain. First of all, what you get is a combined 37 miles per gallon. And that's pretty much incredible because you're getting over 40 miles per gallon in the city. Regenerative braking really does help. Now this does have a continuously variable transmission and it's only powering the front wheels. However, unless you need 4-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, the idea of having a front-wheel drive ute or pickup is actually not such a bad idea at all.
I gotta give it to the Maverick. The powertrain, especially the hybrid, and its cost of about 20 grand to start is incredible.
It's the least expensive Ford that you can buy, and you get a standard hybrid with that. I mean, that's pretty incredible.
But I think people want to know, how do they compare in size? So, it's time to do some measurements and also talk about cab configurations. Because do you think the Maverick will ever be a 2-door?
Nope.
Stephen, I think this is the longest Ford Ranger from back in the day they had, and this is a 125-inch wheelbase.
All right, let's check out mine.
Dude, this is very surprising because this crew cab 4-door Maverick, the wheelbase is actually shorter, 121 inches.
Now we're talking about bed length because the old Ranger is actually a little bit longer, but this one is an interesting length because it's just over 4'6".
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, and then when you add the tailgate, oh, pretty close to 8 feet. So it's
6 feet.
Yeah. Did I say 8 feet? I said 8 feet. I meant 6 feet. But there's a point here, and that is if you get a 4x8 piece of ply, right? Well, you can't put it in between the wheel wells, but they designed this to where you can put it in on top of the wheel wells. So you can have that over here and then have it hanging out a couple feet over the back.
But here's the really impressive part of the Maverick. You have almost, what, 1,500 pounds of payload?
Yeah, seriously.
Like 1,471 pounds. You have outlets in your bed. So you have this 120 volt, 400 watts.
400 watts.
You have lighting.
Uh-huh.
You have a track system. This is a fused pigtail connector, and you can use it for accessories like a little air compressor, maybe additional lighting. If you have a truck topper, you can use it for that.
Yeah, it's about to go in.
Oh, I almost lost it.
So you can do this type of configuration if you have like a 4x8 sheet of ply or drywall. And the cool part is, what you do is you basically put it up on these little things right here. Boom. This section is now level with this section on top of the wheel well, meaning that you could take your 4x8 sheet and you can lay it on top of the wheel well here, and it'll sit flat going over there, which is actually pretty damn cool, very thoughtful. Another thoughtful thing is this little cubby right here, which has good space and a false floor. This actually comes out, ta-da, and goes all the way down. You could hide stuff in there.
Back in the day, trucks were less for people, but more for stuff.
Yeah.
Case in point, this bed is much longer. This bed itself is about 71 inches here with this plastic bed liner, which is not ideal. And all the way to the tailgate, it's about 91 inches, which is almost 8 feet. So I don't need any fancy schmancy tailgate positions. Although still the 4x8 piece of plywood would have to go over the wheel wells.
Oh, okay. So in other words, without the fancy schmancy tailgate, it's all going to be hanging downwards like that. You're going to have to get a bungee cord, in your case, probably some form of licorice, tie it around there to prevent it from sliding out into traffic.
True.
Right.
Also, I have nowhere to tie down to. There's no D-rings.
One of the issues some of you may have with this little pickup is the fact that it comes with these 225 17s. And you know, I don't mind them so much because they really are built for economy. If you want a more aggressive tire, you can actually get it because they do offer a very different type of Maverick, one that comes with a turbocharged 4-cylinder engine with a actual automatic transmission and all-wheel drive. And they have an FX4 package of that, which is a little bit more aggressive, although it's no higher than this one. Andre, on the other hand, has some really good-looking, beefy 31-inch tires, and they're fabulous. In fact, I was kind of thinking that it'd be really cool to take his wheel off, I think it would fit, and put it on over here and beef this thing up.
All right, we measured length and the beds and the payloads, but what about height?
Okay, well, here's the thing about height. Now, even though this one is lower than this one, you can obviously see that there's a frame underneath this, so it's more condensed. This does not need a frame. It's basically a car platform. A lot more space, both with headroom, legroom, and shoulder room.
Every little pickup also needs to be able to tow. In this case, the Maverick Hybrid is rated to tow up to 2,000 pounds, and it's equipped with a 2-inch receiver, which is awesome, a 4-pin connector, it has a tow haul mode, it has trailer sway mitigation software, and if you get a turbocharged one or the one with all-wheel drive, you can also get an optional 4,000 pound towing package. Nathan, you know what? I actually replaced this bumper with the help of my friend Dan Atkinson, or our friend.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I proceeded to scratch it.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yes. But if this had a hitch, which it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
You and I looked it up, and the rating on this with a 373 rear end was about 3,200 pounds.
Yeah, and that's because you have the manual transmission and 4-wheel drive. You can actually get way over that if you had the 2-wheel drive version of this with an automatic.
So actually, we didn't go that far. In 30 years?
Yeah, that's if you're comparing it to my little Bibet truck. Whereas, and if you look at the other Ranger, that thing tows like a train.
7,500 pounds.
Yeah. All right, so there's different drive modes, and I'm going to put it into sport mode. So there's normal, there's tow haul, there's swippery, and there's eco, and then finally sport, which might make me faster. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Okay, so the ECVT is droning a little.
A lot.
And still.
There we go.
What?
So was that 7.41?
Yeah, it was, but
that's with two of us in here.
I don't believe it.
Yeah, and that wasn't the best start either. Now, I didn't torque it or anything else because we've learned with a lot of hybrids, they don't like it. So I just went flat. That is quick for a little 4-cylinder that is not light, and it's a hybrid.
Yeah, and it's also, you know, a mile above sea level.
I gotta say, like I'm telling you, this thing is really, really, really good.
And it's way faster, of course, than any old pickup truck can ever hope to be. Nathan, I'm putting it into sport mode.
Let's see.
There is no sport
Yeah, you got
mode.
first gear.
2-wheel drive. I'm gonna rev it. Okay. 5,000 RPM. Can you feel it?
Not a lot. I mean, when you're shifting, when you were drifting. Yeah.
Brand new oil change.
Almost there. There we go. I'm sorry, was it 15? 1524. So the Maverick's twice as fast.
Yeah.
More than twice as fast. Well, and you guys don't yell at Andre about his driving skills. We all know. But the point is that there's two people in here. I create a lot of ballast, and it's an old truck.
It's an old truck. It's also got beefy tires.
Yeah, they're really heavy-duty tires.
But you know what? I mean, when driving this truck around town, it doesn't feel too slow. I mean, it's just a utility machine.
And we are a mile above sea level,
Yeah.
So, you know, we're talking about losing.
That may have been my slowest 0 to 60 of all time.
Yeah, I know you guys think we established very little by comparing this new pickup to a very old pickup, but there are a couple things to keep in mind. Used pickups right now are huge, and a lot of people are trying to do whatever they can to keep them going, just like your dad is with yours.
Yeah.
And when you're looking at price differential, obviously this truck is very inexpensive, well, pickup I should say, but obviously a used one is less expensive. So if you're looking for a very good little pickup that gets really good mileage, doesn't tow a lot but can hold a lot, mine. But if you're looking for even less expensive, you can get his $8,000 pickup, which was supposed to be $2,500.
What? Well, actually, you're not far from the truth. But here's the thing. If you're looking at a used popular truck, like a Ranger or Tacoma,
Right.
those prices also are through the roof right now.
They are ridiculous
Yes.
right now, so we wish you guys luck on that. We're trying to, get through it ourselves. But anyway, good on Ford for building a really good replacement for what we know as the small pickup.
And I think it will be popular just like the old Rangers used to be.
I agree with you there.